What? So, what is up, everybody? Josh Robinson here, Wreck 'em Bait Co. I had this strange idea the other day. A few years ago, when I kind of started dabbling in bait making and bait pouring, might have been a couple of years ago, I ran across this fella named Chris Jones, and he has an endless amount of great content on how to pour, what to pour, how to mix it, so many great things. So if you haven't come across him and you're in the bait making world, I'm sure you will eventually, because he is one of the top guys right now. But one of the many things that I found in the last 3 years is there are lots of ways to mess things up. So I figured I would do a kind of a bait making newbies 101 on what not to do. So in your bait making journey, you might have started with open pour molds, or you might have been like me and you might have bought open pour and injection molds. Well, one of the first problems that I ran into with an injection mold was putting just a little too much pressure on the injector. And it's one of those things that you kind of just have to do and feel out, and do it more than once, or just get used to your injector. And I've got a couple of different injectors, and some of them inject differently. Some are a little smoother than others. But the pressure and being able to feel the pressure and knowing when to let off is very important. So I'm going to kind of run you through the struggles that I faced when I first started injecting soft plastics. All right, so one of the best things for injectors is to take a little dab of oil, and I like to put it on the inside, but I also like to put it just a little bit around the outside so that it kind of forces it down in the mold. As you can tell, it'll kind of create a suction, but I like to spin it a little bit. That just helps with the injectors to keep them lubed up a little bit. Also like to open them up. This one hasn't been cleaned in a while. Put a little bit around the O-ring. Not a lot, just a couple of drops. Put it in, spin it just a little bit, just to kind of get the oil all around the cylinder. Close it up. Oh yeah. She's doing good now. All right, so I have mixed up a little bit of remelt, and basically what I'm going to show you is just a couple of things that I learned while injecting. So the first step, you're going to put the injector down into the plastic and just draw a full injector full of plastic. And then as you move it over, as the injector slides down, you're going to kind of feel the mold fill up. And as it fills up, if you apply too much pressure, I don't know if you can see that, but on this front side, we've had a slight leak. Let's see if that's warm. But you'll notice right there, see how it's coming out. A lot of it has to do with the type of clamp that I used. It also has to do with the amount of pressure. So we're going to go ahead and top that off. Reheat that. And we'll come back and take a look at what we've got. Alright, so here's a little better angle. Just so maybe you can get a little better idea of what it'll look and feel like. Really, the only way to get this down is to just do it over and over and over until you get a good feel for your injector and your molds. But if you look on the injector, I have made some little black lines. You can see them right here. But as I push down, you see the speed and then how it just sort of stops. And then now I'm just putting a little constant pressure, holding it, not really forcing anything, just allowing the cavity time to cool off, drawing a little bit of plastic. Then I'm going to pick it up, top it off. All right, so here are our molds. I shot a couple good and a couple of bad. If you'll notice, these are some of the things that bad molds will look like if we apply too much pressure. Notice how it came out of the top, out of these vent holes in the sides. It also makes it very, very hard. I've got it all over my table now. It makes it very, very hard to get them apart. And then once we open them, you get something like this. All right, so I opened the first mold. You'll notice there was a lot of run over at the top, on the sides. And as you can see, because of all the pressure and the blowout at the top, there wasn't enough pressure on these bottom cavities to fill those up. So this was a wasted shot. And this may happen. This is just one of those parts and things about bait making that you have to learn, you have to do, you have to get a feel for. So I'll throw that one to the side. This was the first one that I shot. Let's see. One thing that also does when we overshoot is it makes it hard to open the mold because there's plastic kind of melted in between it holding it together. But again, as you can see, there's overpour, spray, whatever you want to call it, all over the top. And then on the bottom, the cavities didn't fill up because there wasn't enough pressure. Now, let's see what these molds look like. This is the Ecto Crawl. Really love this bait, as you see. Good even pressure. Good looking baits. Good looking claws. Man, I love when a good remelt comes together and makes a good looking bait. It's almost like a dark green pumpkin with green and red and copper flake. See if I can get a close up of that. Man, that looks good. And then finally, I shot a couple of toads. This is a BTS paddle toad. I also have the Anglin AI frog as well. I like both of them, like them for different things, but that's the paddle toad. Really like that color, especially for a remelt. But you can see, no runoff, no extra. Everything looks good. All right, to kind of wrap it up, if you're like I was when you first got into bait making, you were on fire, you had watched a bunch of Chris Jones videos, and you thought, man, this is going to be fun, this is going to be super easy. He makes it look so easy and so great. And then you start, and it's a lot harder than you think. But the key to it, guys, is just persistence. I've only been in it for a couple of years, almost 3 years now, and there's still sometimes when I get in a hurry or I do things, you know, a way that I know I shouldn't, and then I have to pay for it. Sometimes with burns, a lot of times with just really bad baits. But just stay with it, stick with it. I hope this video helps you out. Please do me a favor, go down to the bottom, click the subscribe button. Share this video if you like. Maybe it'll help you guys out. Maybe it'll help someone else out. Remember, don't just catch them, wreck them.